Welcome to True Mysteries and Tall Tales. If you find yourself captivated by enigma, tragedy, and intrigue, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Today's tale is a harrowing and haunting mystery of the Sodder family, filled with twists and turns that continue to perplex those who hear it. The Sodder family's residence, a wooden 7-bedroom house, stood in a small town in the Appalachian region just 2 miles north of Fayetteville, West Virginia. It was an ideal dwelling for the businessman, George Sodder, his wife Jenny, and their 9 children. On Christmas Eve, 5 of the Sodder children requested permission to stay up late. Their mother consented, reminding them to lock the door before retiring to bed. At midnight, Jenny was awakened by a ringing phone. A woman's voice, unfamiliar and accompanied by background laughter, asked for someone unknown to Jenny. She promptly informed the caller of the mistake and hung up. On her way back to bed, she found the door unlocked, assuming the children had overlooked it. After locking it, she returned to bed, but was later disturbed by a loud noise on the roof. She dismissed it and went back to sleep. Tragedy struck soon after, as the house filled with smoke. George and Jenny rushed out, calling for their other children to escape. Outside, they saw the house engulfed in flames and desperately tried to save the 5 trapped children in the attic room. George attempted to reach them with ladders but found them missing, though he had just used them the day before. Investigators later discovered them discarded in a ditch. George then planned to use his trucks to access the window, but neither would start, though both were functional the previous day. The fire department could not be reached as the phone lines were down, and despite seeking help from neighbors, the house collapsed within 45 minutes. A neighbor went to find the fire chief, but the fire trucks arrived only at 8 a.m., 7 hours after the fire began, leaving behind only ash and debris. Expecting to find their children's skeletons, the Sodders were shocked to discover only a few bone fragments. The search was postponed due to Christmas Day, adding to their grief. An unsettling discovery was made when a maintenance worker found that the phone lines had been intentionally severed, not destroyed in the fire. Even more disturbing was a threat made to George by a life insurance salesman in October, stating his house would go up in smoke and his children would be destroyed. Initially dismissed as anger over a failed sale, the threat seemed chillingly prophetic in light of the tragic events. Evidence soon emerged indicating that the fire had been set deliberately. A bus driver claimed to have seen balls of fire thrown at the house on Christmas Eve. After the snow melted, the youngest Sodder child, Sylvia, discovered a dark green rubber ball-like object nearby. George recognized it as a pineapple bomb or incendiary device, contradicting the fire marshal's conclusion about the fire's origin. Witnesses reported seeing the missing Sodder children in a passing car and at a rest stop the next morning, adding to the suspicion that they were still alive. Determined to find answers, the Sodders hired private investigator C.C. Tinsley. He unearthed unsettling connections, such as an insurance salesman who had threatened George over his anti-Mussolini sentiments and later served on the coroner's jury ruling the fire an accident. Tinsley also discovered that Morris, the fire chief, had found a heart that he packed into a metal box and secretly buried. George and Tinsley dug up the box, only to find fresh beef liver inside, never exposed to fire. Morris later admitted he had placed the liver there, hoping to convince the Sodders the children had died. In a shocking twist, George spotted a magazine photo of a group of young ballet dancers, one of whom looked like his missing daughter, Betty. His desperate attempts to see the girl at her school were refused, deepening the mystery. George tried to interest the FBI in the case, but J. Edgar Hoover deemed it a local matter, and local authorities declined assistance. The family was on their own. By August 1949, George persuaded a Washington, D.C. pathologist to supervise a new search at the house site. Several human vertebrae were found, but were deemed unlikely to be from the missing children, showing no exposure to flame. The bone fragments were later traced to a nearby cemetery, further complicating the case. The investigation attracted national attention, resulting in 2 hearings by the West Virginia legislature in 1950. Despite this, Governor Okie L. Pattison declared the case hopeless and closed it at the state level. The FBI, considering it a possible interstate kidnapping, also dropped the case after 2 fruitless years. As spring approached, the Sodders planted flowers in the soil bulldozed over the house. Jenny tended this garden throughout her life, a poignant reminder of her lost children. Yet the Sodders never stopped believing that their children might be alive somewhere, haunted by the mystery. The story of the Sodder family resonates as a haunting mystery, filled with sorrow, intrigue, and unanswered questions. It stands as a poignant reminder of how joy can turn to tragedy and how shadows of doubt can linger over a family, a community, and history itself. Thank you for joining us today on True Mysteries and Tall Tales. If this story has moved you, fascinated you, and left you yearning for answers, please like and subscribe for more tales that will mystify and enthrall. Until next time, keep wondering and keep exploring the mysteries that surround us all.